today we have WWE legend Luke the Bushwhacker on the podcast. Luke, thank you for blessing us with your presence today.
Whoa, g'day, Danny. It's bloody good to be here, mate. You're looking good, mate, but you smell like sardines. And I've had that for breakfast for many years.
Have you really? I've known you for a long time. You used to run the gym on Clearwater Beach. You had your own gym. We used to always work out together, me, you, and the Hulkster. And those were some good times.
Some good times, mate, but evolution of time, we have to move on.
You got to move on.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you got to just move on and write a new chapter.
Exactly, mate, and I'm moving on. I don't know what the next chapter's going to be, but, well, I've got a few ideas anyhow.
Have you?
Yeah.
So how you been? How are you?
Good, mate, good. I just got back from Quebec, a town. I worked in a town on Sunday afternoon. It's the first time I've been there since 1972. That was the last time I wrestled in that town. And I had a few people there came up to me. They were old. They said, I remember you being here many, many moons ago with Andre the Giant.
That's crazy. So how old are you now?
Hey, quiet. To all the girls out there, I'm 25, 26.
You don't look a day over 30.
No. Anyhow, I'm 73 at Christmas, January.
And you're still wrestling?
You're still in the ring, entertaining.
Wow.
Well, you could call it, it's called entertaining.
Why is it called entertaining?
Well, that's what I do. I entertain the people.
Is that what everyone calls it? Is that what all WWE wrestlers call it?
WWE. It's called WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment.
Okay, so it's just you don't call it wrestling. People just call it.
No, you could call it wrestling. It's wrestling and that. But when they look at me and they say, "You still wrestling?" I say, "I'm entertaining."
Right.
Sounds better at my age.
You don't do any kind of like hard jumps or take any big bumps. You kind of just take it easy now.
I give them.
You give them. You give them.
I'm a giver, not a taker. Remember that, folks. And to all you women out there. Whoa.
What? Whoa.
And I'm from down under. You know what I mean? And I'm a bushwhacker.
Where'd you get that?
I hate being told, though. Most of them tell me today, but I'm shaved. Most of the women, when I say I'm from down under and I'm a bushwhacker, they turn around and say to me, well, I'm shaved.
Oh, the women say that to you.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So where did you come up? I mean, so we've had the pleasure of having many WWE superstars on this show. We've had Jimmy Hart, we've had Lanny Poffo, the brother of Macho Man, and now you're the third WWE superstar. So how did you get into the business? Like, let's talk about like your early days. Where are you from?
Early days.
How did you get started in this crazy, wacky world?
Funny part is the next door neighbour. I was born in a town called Lower Hutt, New Zealand. It's a suburb of the capital, Wellington. It's about 8 miles out from the city of Wellington.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbour was a bodybuilder. And he went into Mr. New Zealand and he got placed. And the judge in Mr. New Zealand was a former Mr. New Zealand, a 1950 Mr. New Zealand. He was a judge. Plus, at this time now, he was the wrestling promoter for the only promotion in New Zealand. And he said to my next door neighbour, my buddy, he said to him, why not make some money with that body? So my neighbour's name was Brian Ashby. Mm-hmm. So he went into the gym. It was in Wellington, 6 or 8 miles away. And it was the gym was like the gym in the first Rocky movie. If you ever remember that, the steam pipes rattling. It had a steam room. The old school gym. Yeah. The only two machines it had or racks it had was a bench press and a squat rack. All the rest were kettlebells and free weights laying around the floor. And there was 2 rings there, 20 by 20 rings. The floor of the rings were hard as the floor as this room, or hard as the pavement on the roads around here. And the boxing rings, 4 ropes. And the wrestling rings were 4 ropes too in New Zealand at that time. It was, and they were the wrestling rings. Wrestling shows were governed by the police. and they came and checked the rings before to make sure it was 20 feet by 20 feet in the ropes. Now, what the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? If it's 18 feet.
Right.
But fucking police came and checked it and measured it, and everybody too had to put the promoter had to put everyone's name in 2 months ahead of the show to see if they had any criminal record. This is how it was.
Wow.
The police sat ringside, and if you did anything illegal, they hopped up in the ring. There was no punch there was no punching and no kicking. So it was either forearms or the British uppercut, and you could do a knee drop. Anyhow.
That's crazy. How old were you when you got into this?
15 or just turning 16. Anyhow, how I got in it, he said to me after he was going for about a month, and he says, why not come in there? I was 175 pound wet at the time. And I started going in there to the gym with him. About 6 months down the line, I went to my first wrestling match, live wrestling match. And one of the opponents didn't arrive in the light junior heavyweight or light heavyweight, and that next minute I got a pair of boots thrown at me and a tank top thrown at me. I had jeans on, and that's how I went to the ring. And don't ask me about the match, because it's a blank.
Really?
That was my first match ever. The arena was full. It was, 3,000 people at that time. I'm talking about 1962.
Yeah.
In little old New Zealand, where they roll up the sidewalks at 6 o'clock at night. The bars closed at 6. Everything.
Wow.
Just to go downtown, any little townships, 6:37, you're lucky to find a cafeteria open in any of the smaller cities. In the capital, you'd find them, but in the smaller cities, the sidewalks were rolled up and the lights were out.
Really?
The blinds were down.
That's wild. So
Yeah, we didn't everyone sat around a radio at home listening to soap operas on radio. We never got television till 67, and it would start at 3 in the afternoon and finish at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. That's how when we first got it. Crazy, huh?
That's some crazy shit.
We were 20 years. We were 20 years behind the States and behind Aussie at the time too.
What were you doing in New Zealand this whole time? So you're
shagging sheep.
You were shagging sheep.
Shagging sheep.
That's all you did was shag sheep?
No. I'm an engineer by trade, or turner or fitter. Lathe work and with turning steel with a lathe and doing welding, arc and arc, arc welding, arc and arc, gas brazing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Dealing with steel, putting stuff together.
Okay, so that's what you did for a living when you first
Yeah,
started wrestling.
I did an apprenticeship.
Okay, yeah.
I did the 10,000 hours. That's a 5-year. I did a lot of overtime, and I did it in 4 years. But in the meanwhile, I was wrestling too, because I'd finished work at 4, and that in New Zealand, you can hop on a plane from the capital, and you can be at the end of the other island or over in the South Island, anywhere within an hour. Once you're on the plane, everything is close. The islands, New Zealand consists of 2 islands, 600 miles long each, and each about 150 miles wide. So that's it. And we're way down south. For you people out there that don't know where we are, we're southeast of Australia, and below us is South Pole. America have got a base in the South Island, and the South Island where they go down to the South Pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. Did you ever go to the South Pole?
No, never.
Never
flown. It's 2 hours from Christchurch.
Really?
And that to 2.5 hours, and you're over. People fly over. Tourists, Americans go down there, and they go on the charters, and they fly over the South Pole. But we're a mountainous country. What you call mountains over here, we call hills. Our mountains are from 12,000 feet to 20,000 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, okay, so you're in New Zealand. You're an engineer by trade. You're doing welding. You're doing all kinds of crazy work.
Yeah.
And on the side, you're
wrestling.
You're wrestling, doing wrestling gigs. Are you making any money doing wrestling back then?
But back then, if I told you,
while you were in New Zealand, were you making money?
Yeah, when I tell you, I was making £3, £2 or £3 a match. And if you know what pound is those days, that's a pound was equal to $2.
Wow.
And I make
$2 a match.
Yeah, and a wage at that time would be a good wage would be about £15 a week. A wage. That's for not a professional, but that's for an average worker was £10 to £15 a week.
Wow.
By accident, you kind of like fell into this. This was never like a dream for you.
No, the next door neighbor and that, and I went in and that, hung out and that, you know.
So when did you develop that whole moniker, the whole whoa with the?
No, that came later. That came many moons later. We left home in 1970.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
so why did
back.
you? Why did you? Yeah, go back.
Let's go back. We mainly had Europeans wrestlers.
Yeah.
from Europe and England. When they come over, we actually ran 3 times a week or twice a week, 3 times a week, and a guy would come over for say 2 months, 3 months, and that's when we get most of our work. And in '68, I started going to Australia. The American promoter from Atlanta, a well-known promoter who got Ted Turner to put the wrestling up on the satellite on TBS. Well, he was over in New Zealand, and that was WCW. He was over in Australia, and he come over there in '65 and opened up Australia. That's when the Vietnam War was on, and all the troops were coming down to Australia for R&R, rest and recreation. And he was there. He opened up in Australia. He bought out the roller derby, and then brought a whole American crew in and started running it. I'd go over there and work against the Americans, and that maybe 3 times a year. Go over there for a month or 3 weeks. And work against the Americans.
Now, when Ted Turner was basically syndicating wrestling shows across the world in lots of different countries.
Yeah, but
it started with the U.S., right?
Yeah, but he didn't start. The satellite didn't go up to '76, I think. You know It was called WTBS.
It was called WTBS.
TBS, yeah. WTBS, and then he dropped the W off it, and just TBS.
And what was the wrestling program called?
It was World Championship Wrestling.
That's what Ted Turner's was called?
Yeah, Ted Turner. Well, that was Jim Barnett's company.
Okay.
And Jim Barnett, the Australian promoter, actually owned part of Florida Championship Wrestling. He owned a part of a lot of companies around the States, but he was in Atlanta. He had WCW.
Okay.
And then later on in life, you know, when
Vince came
all
along.
the small territories went out, and Vince was the only one, and that's when Ted Turner bought NWA, and it changed from NWA to WCW.
Oh, okay.
The name and that's when they had the Monday Night Wars in the 90s. But anyway, we're going back to the 60s.
Right.
We jumped well ahead here. Fuck. Anyhow, so I met a lot of Americans and Andre come over to our country too in '69.
Andre the Giant?
Yeah, so Butch and me worked against Butch, my partner, and myself. We partnered up in '66. You know, locally, and that we never started touring overseas till, you know, to the Middle East, not the Middle East, to the East, Singapore and up in Bangkok and that till '68. Andre come over to New Zealand in '69, and Butch and me worked with him for a whole month around the country.
Really?
Yeah. So
holy shit!
Andre
what was that
only,
like?
Andre was only 350 then. You're 350, 360, and with a big afro. He looked skinny, you know what I
Really?
mean? Well, 7'2" with a big afro, and only 350. You know what I mean?
That's incredible. You spent a whole month with him.
That's how when I first met Andre and that. And of course, too, I met the big names like Killer Kowalski. He was one of the biggest names in the heels in the world at the time. Who was main event at Madison Square Gardens in the 60s and in the 70s. He was he was the main bad guy, and he's the guy that actually got Australia going for Jim Barnett. You know, our business is cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that they brought in, and he actually popped Australia and got it up going, you know, for Jim Barnett.
Wow.
And so when I come over in 72, Butch and me came over to North America for the first time.
And why did you guys come for the first time? What was the reason?
Well, you know, Hollywood was, if you want to be a star in movies and television and that, you go to Hollywood. If you want all the wrestling magazines, you know, we didn't get a wrestling show till 76 in New Zealand on television. And that, so we got wrestling magazines in the 60s and that, and, you know, they all come out of the States. Everything came from the States. The States was where it was, you know, for wrestling.
Yeah.
So it was bigger than England and Europe and all that sort of stuff.
So you guys we're doing it. If we want to make it big time, we got to go to California.
No, we didn't come to California. That was for Hollywood and actors. We just got two promoters that the New Zealand promoter knew very well. They were the Vachon brothers. Maurice Vachon, Mad Dog Vachon, he's dead now. His brother, they just put another movie out about them this weekend. But they were two Frenchmen, were well known throughout the States, and they owned a territory in Montreal called Grand Prix. So they brought us over there. This territory was running 3 towns a night. This promotion was running, they had a crew. This was a big promotion, running 3 towns a night in the province of Ontario and Quebec, and northern part of Vermont and upstate New York. They'd come into that, and it was out of Montreal.
Wow.
And so they brought us over there, and of course the main heel was Walter Kowalski, and the main babyface, good guy, was the Giant. So we knew
Andre?
the two. Andre. Andre had just come to North America the first time 6 months before we did.
Oh shit! And where was he living, in France?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was working Europe and England,
right.
And he came in a year, 6 months, 8 months before us. So when we come in, he was over like hell. It was drawing this territory was on fire.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So when we came in, we knew the two main guys, and after about a month, we were one of the main events in the third town. You know, one of the towns, and that, you know what I mean. We were used right.
That HBO documentary on Andre was insane.
Yeah,
the stuff that he had to go through, like everyday life, flying in airplanes, how much of torture that was for him.
Oh yeah, going to the pooper. I got to tell you about that later. Going to the pooper, he could never get on those.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Anyhow, we're going back. So here I am in this territory, and at the time too, Pierre Trudeau was the Prime Minister. His son is the Prime Minister now, and he's not so liked
Prime Minister
of Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, and he was going out with Mick Jagger's his wife, Bianca. He was effing around with Mick Jagger's wife. It was, you know, Mick had broken up with her, but that was a big thing at the time.
So it was his ex-wife?
Yeah. And at the time, too, when we came into Parti Québécois was trying to break away from Canada and be its own country. It's crazy, you know, the politics then.
Yeah.
Quebec, you know, it was wild at the time.
That's pretty insane. So
anyhow, we were there working. We worked there for a year and a half, and, you know, and we were used on top, semi-final on top in one of the towns and that, and they come up to said to us, you know, if we we can move you out. Now he said, we have to start jobbing you. Jobbing you is getting beaten all the time and put the new people over, or we can move you out and bring you back later and move you to another territory. And we says, where are you going to move us? And they says, there's a promotion called Stampede promotion. Now, we never heard of Stampede. This is a notorious promotion in wrestling in those days. Everyone of a name has worked in it. And it was owned by Stu Hart. We didn't know who Stu Hart was. Bret Hart's father. Stu Hart had 12 kids. It's a notorious family in Canada. And Bret Hart was WWE champion for many years. And Owen Hart fell out of the roof at one of the pay-per-views and got killed ringside. He was on a hoist. I remember, it was in Kansas City. He was coming out on a rope, when they have them down and the clips had come undone. And he fell to the pavement on a pay-per-view.
Damn.
Yeah, that was a big lawsuit. Anyhow.
What was that? So what year was that?
That was in about 99, 2000. Wow. Anyhow, getting back, so we moved we moved to that next territory, and we never knew. The first night we're there, we're working against the champions, and we got disqualified. Wrestling prearranged. Anyhow, we got disqualified. We started beating them up with the New Zealand flag. We always carried the New Zealand flag, right? Next minute, these kids were thrown into the ring. And I'll tell you who by in a minute. And we were told, beat them up. So the two champions, who we just got squatted from lying there, and these 4 kids from 11 to about 13 are thrown in the ring, and 2 of them are bleeding. And we're putting the boot to them and that, and then we leave. We left the ring and we go back to the back. And we hadn't met Stu Hart yet, and Stu Hart's there. He said, what the F are you doing? And we said, well, the guy that threw them in said, the guy that threw these kids in the ring said, beat them up. So we beat them up. And you know what I mean? Because we came in to get over, as the bad guys.
Right.
And this was televised.
Yeah. Friday
nights were televised in the pavilion. In the fairgrounds in Calgary, there's 2 arenas. The pavilion, which holds 3,000, and then now it's the Saddle Dome. It holds 20. That's where all the big shows and the pay-per-views are done and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the promotion did 3 shows a year, where they did the Friday and they did the Sunday back to back. So anyhow, we beat him up and that. Now, these were Stu Hart's kids.
Oh,
he
shit.
didn't know.
Oh.
And who was throwing them in was Abdullah, the butcher. You've heard of Abdullah the butcher?
No.
He blood crazy, you know what I mean? He cut them all and threw them in.
What?
Yeah, the kids.
Was that planned? Was that planned
No,
too?
we didn't know.
Oh.
He was helping us get over.
Yeah.
Abdullah is a heavy name. He drew the biggest houses in Japan with King Brody. Anyhow, if you know, wrestling fans know all about Abdullah the Butcher.
Right.
Anyhow.
That's fucking
And a big
nuts.
controversy with Vince McMahon. Anyhow, so we put the boots on him, and he told us they were his kids, and one of them was Brett, believe it or not, and the other one Owen was too young at the time, and there was other kids, he had 12 kids, 8 boys and 4 girls. Stu. Anyhow, that was our territory. So that was a Friday night. That was played on Saturday morning. So when we come to the show, that was a double header that weekend. Sunday was in the big arena because they flew talent in for a big show. And when we went out, we got stuff thrown at us. That's how hot we didn't get the drawing power, but we were hated already.
People just hated you. You guys were known as you guys were like the go-to heels.
Yeah, we didn't have the drawing power yet, but when you come into a territory, they feed you guys to beat up and get over. to get you over so you can go to towns and draw people. It usually takes 6 weeks. If you're good heels, it takes 6 weeks of television. 6 television shows, and you're knocking the people on the mic and you're beating people up. And by then, if you're good heels, you can get over. And Butch and me
Get
we
over.
got over.
So wait.
Got over to draw.
Get over. Get over means win.
To get over. To get over as a bad guy, to be main eventers.
Okay.
Either to get over, they feed you talent to get over. Get over means you beat them up, whether you win 1, 2, 3, but to get over is a hated talent. You know what I mean? Because the name of our game is the good guy beating the bad guy, but you've got to have the bad guy's going to go get over as a bad guy to draw houses.
Got it.
How do you think that Muhammad Ali? People bought tickets to see Muhammad get beaten. He got over because he knocked people out straight away, and he said, I'm going to knock him out in 3, and he blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And they said, that cocky bastard, we bought tickets. That's why he got over so big, because people bought tickets.
Because they wanted to see. You think they wanted to see him get beat?
But he always,
Really?
Yeah. And Tyson. Look at Tyson.
Yeah, definitely.
He was a heel too.
Yeah.
Tyson was a heel too. George Foreman was a babyface. He was liked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Did you draw any kind of inspiration from guys like that?
Yeah. We draw inspiration from Killer Kowalski. Here's the guy that went who Muhammad Ali followed. Gorgeous George.
Yeah.
Gorgeous George was an old-time wrestler, a fag. He
was
wasn't
gay?
a fag, but no, he worked a fag gimmick.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, and overstrong, and he'd give out, Bobby, came out flamboyantly, hair dyed, with rollers in his hair, blah, 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 and all that shit. That's what I did earlier on in my career. I was Sweet William.
Sweet William.
Yeah, I worked
Did you come out with the sheep?
I worked as a fag. I worked as a fag for a long time.
Wow.
And then, for the first 5 years, I worked as a fag. 6 years.
Wow. And that was in New Zealand.
Yeah, and Australia.
And you drew more emotion out of people because
because I'd had a woman in my corner or a male in the corner, and I'd slap the woman around, spray me with perfume, had rollers in my hair, and all that stuff. Go to women's salons, get my hair done.
Is there any footage of that on the internet? I want to see that.
No, but I got photos and all that when I was doing that gimmick. Yeah. I wore flowery clothes, with puffed out shoulders and all that stuff.
What would you say?
Ballet shoes with a cross thing over here.
Yeah. Did you have to, in a lot of your matches, did you have to hide a razor blade in your mouth and cut yourself, make yourself bleed?
What are you talking about?
You know what I mean? Did you have to?
No, I don't know what you mean.
You never did that?
Look at my forehead.
Is that why your forehead looks like that from you cutting yourself?
I'm not saying that, but just look at it.
I can see
That's
it.
wild woman with long toenails. How's that?
So you don't talk about that. People don't talk about that.
Well, it's been told. People talk. I don't talk about it.
No. Okay.
But
it's pretty gnarly. A lot of the guys that want to make it and they want to get over.
Yeah,
they have to do crazy shit like that. They have to cut themselves, make themselves bleed.
Hey, when they said blood capsules, there's no blood capsules.
No, it's all
I've never
blood.
used blood capsules at all. And I squirted blood out to as far as where you are.
Fuck.
Yeah, I've hit main veins.
On your face?
Yes, shit.
Oh
I've got
my God, dude.
If you want to go and see bloody matches, go to the 1986 in the Superdome, New Orleans, the sheep herders versus the Fantastics. Anyone go and see that? That was.
Who was the sheep herders?
I was the sheep
That
herders.
was the Bushwhackers.
Oh, you called yourselves the
herders.
sheep
We were the
herders.
sheep herders well before the Bushwhackers.
Okay.
Vince changed us to good guys, and he changed the names to the Bushwhackers because he wanted to own us.
He didn't like the sheep herder. Oh, because he wanted to change it so he could own it. He couldn't.
Yeah, own it.
He couldn't claim
he didn't
sheep
want
herders.
us. He wanted us to be the good guys. He says, it's time for you to change to be the good guys. We'd been the bad guys. I'd been a bad guy from 1962 to 1988.
What's with the whole sheep gimmick? Where did that
Sheep
come
herders
from?
is because New Zealand has got 3 million people and 100 million sheep. That's what I said. We were
you
did you
fucking
catch
kidding
on
me?
before when I said the sheep shaggers?
No, I
Shagging sheep.
heard that. I just don't know where it came
Yes,
from.
New Zealand's well known for that.
There's really over 100 million sheep in New
Sheep,
Zealand.
New Zealand is evergreen, mate. They burnt all the rough gorse and all the plant weed and all that, and they put grazing, they grass seeded the whole countryside, the hills and everything. We were the
Wow.
first country to do top dressing on planes. When they drop the seeds out of the wings and they coming over the pastures and that.
Yeah, yeah.
And feed the pastures. Yeah. New Zealand they were the first country to do that.
Wow.
And that, the whole country's mountainous like that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and they've got big mountains, but we're just covered in sheep. Sheep were everywhere.
Did you have any pet sheep?
Huh?
Did you have your own sheep?
No, I did. I was, but the sheep farms, the sheep farms in New Zealand, they're 3 or 4 miles. Some of them are 2 or 3 miles by 3 miles.
Really?
Yeah, that's a big farms.
100 million sheep.
Sheep,
That must be
yeah.
a big wool export.
And yeah, it was till synthetic came in. We were big in farm products. Our butter and our wool, but now everything's synthetic. That killed our economy when that synthetic stuff came out, synthetic wool and all that. They started
Yeah.
doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But New Zealand was big export in wool.
So for your gimmick, you guys were called the sheep herders. Did
And
you guys?
we used to come out in sheep jackets too. White jackets with sleeves off, thick wool like that.
Did you guys ever bring a sheep with you?
No.
Like to walk out with a sheep?
No, carry a sheep around.
You can't bring a sheep into a WWE match?
No,
I mean,
weren't
Stone Cold
we
brought out a
weren't-
giant fucking
we
beer
weren't
truck.
sheep herders then, mate. We were the bushwhackers.
No, I'm talking about when you were the sheep herders.
No, we never had sheep. We just carried the New Zealand flag. We were known for being nasty son of a bitches. We were. If you go online, it says the sheep herders were hardcore before hardcore became our name brand.
Why? So what did you guys do that was so nasty?
The way we worked, and we were blood and guts.
Just roughed them up.
Roughed them up, blood and guts. All of our. That's why we worked a lot in South America and a lot of, in the territories where it was where they had bloody matches all the time. We would have, and we came up with a lot of different matches that the names of a lot of different matches. Those days there were territories, mate. When we come over here, everywhere you ran 7 nights a week. Even when we went into that Grand Prix. And that they ran 7 towns. They were running 21 towns a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is every night. And you come back you do programs with guys. You might Roddy Piper. Butch and me worked with Rick Martel and Roddy Piper for a year. Every night, we'd go into 6 mans. They'd bring in Jesse Ventura, or they'd bring in the Giant, and we'd bring in another guy to be an outside. And we just worked with those two, the town, so you could have storylines and plan things and do things. To spike it, and then you'd sell out. Then you'd go down to 3/4 of the house, and it'd start winning. Then you spike it again and come up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what you have television for, to do angles, to set to plots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's when the heel does stuff to get the people going. And that's where Vince is like at the moment, because being a public company, and he's got all those stockholders and that, he can't do heavy stuff like he did before.
So,
you know what I mean?
So when Vince bought you, when Vince
asked us to come in there.
So what was that like? What was that like? Did you meet him? Did he reach out to you? What was that?
Well, we were working for Turner at the time.
Yeah.
And we were working to get the main guys there, and we were working Cincinnati on a Saturday night. I'll always remember this. And I'm in the Gold's Gym with Butch in the morning. And I never worked my drum out so much. Butch always worked his drum at the end of a workout.
His drum?
The drum, your stomach.
Oh,
your drum.
Oh, your drum. Okay. I
Your
never heard
boiler.
about that. I never heard that. I like that.
Your
I'm working
boiler,
my
that's
drum,
your
mate.
drum. You got to fill your drum out. That's why you go to a restaurant.
That's right.
Fill your drum up.
I love that.
Or your boiler.
My fucking drum, mate.
Your boiler. And he
boiler.
was doing that. So I went to pick up my messages from my home. I was living in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because that was the headquarters for NWA. And they were running all over the country. As far as Baltimore and Philly, and we'd go to Long Island now and again, but we never went into Manhattan or any of there or up the East Coast there. WWF was up there. That was Vince Senior. Ted Turner's television was never strong. His thing wasn't in the program, in the packages of the cable. You know, TBS wasn't strong up there till I'd say 90, 88, 90. TBS got strong in the northern parts, and it's strong everywhere now. You know what I mean? Well, that's 30 years ago. But USA Network and is it WN? What's another cables? A few cables, they're strong up there. Anyhow, so we wouldn't come up that far. And they went to going back to Cincinnati, went and pulled up my messages, and there's a voice. It's Pat here. He says, when you got time, give me a call.
Pat Patterson?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, you know Pat?
I know Pat Patterson, yeah.
Yeah, Pat. Patricia. Anyhow, one of the best tag wrestlers ever.
Now he's like one of the top executives, right, at WWE.
Yeah, but one of the top. You know, he was one of the top. Him and Ray Stevens, the Butch and me copied a bit of their stuff too. They were one of the best tag teams ever. Anyhow, he said, "Give us a call." So I said, "That's funny." So anyhow, I give the call, and I'm on speakerphone. And the speakerphone, they were in Vince's home, not in the office. They were in his home. And I said, "Is Pat there?" And he said, "Yeah, Pat." And he says, "Yeah, there's a guy here who wants to talk to you." And then a voice in the background said, "Kiwi, I'd like to use you." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "Oh, Vince McMahon here." And I'd been sending tapes to this fucking bastard since Betamax. If you know what Betamax is.
Yeah.
Early 80.
Yeah.
I've been sending to the dad, the Betamax. And then I said, every year I'd send tapes to them. Can you use this? Because that was the number one, one of the number one companies in the country,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But they only worked up north at the time. They only come down as far as Philadelphia and Baltimore, and they did Boston, and they did all that up there, but it was big money there.
Right.
So I've been trying, but they didn't take us smaller guys at the time. They had big guys. I'm talking about guys 6'4", 6'3", and 260 up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So he says, yeah, and I said, yeah. I said, yeah, yes, I'm interested. And he says, when can I see you? When can I talk to you? And I says, you just named the time, and that. And we were working, planned every day, and for NWA. And he says, right, when you get home, there'll be tickets at your door. There'll be tickets at your door when you get home. I gave him my address on the phone, and he says next Wednesday. So, he said, all you don't have to bring anything with you. When you fly up there, you'll be flying home the same night. So we flew into Kennedy. There was a limousine up there waiting for us. We went straight up to Stamford, Connecticut, which is an hour away from Kennedy. Met Vince.
Vince Jr.?
Vince Jr., yeah. Senior was dead.
Okay.
Senior died in 4.
Okay.
3 or 4. '83 or '84, and that we met him. And that funny part is, we went into the office and was sitting there, and he says to us, I'd like to bring you in as baby faces, good guys. And of course, I piped up and said to him, bring us in as heels first and turn us. And he says, no, I don't do things that way. And then I found out you don't tell Caesar, his nickname was Caesar, you don't tell Caesar what to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He says that, and I'd like you to be between the sheep herders and the moondogs. Work like between the sheep herders and the moondogs. The moondogs were two guys and had bones, big heavy guys were crazy and had bones, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they were heels up there. And he says that I'll start bringing you up every week for the next month to do vignettes, which you know what vignettes are, small movies, 2 to 3 minute movies, to get you over. Mm-hmm. So we got home, and when we got home and there was the tickets there. 2 days later, Butch calls me up and he says, fuck, there's something here. A package here, they've sent the wrong names. It's for the Bushwhackers. And I says to Butch, he says, they must have sent them to the wrong person. I says, no, he's changing our name because he wants to own it. You know what I mean? He's changing our name.
Okay.
So that's how we became the Bushwhackers. Now
Okay.
Bushwhackers,
So you didn't even know what he was going to call you until he sent you that.
No.
Wow.
A Bushwhacker.
No back and forth about it at all. He just made up his mind.
No, we don't. You don't have a choice. That if you want to work for Caesar, anyhow, a Bushwhacker is like a Robin Hood, steals from the rich and gives to the poor.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they did a thing like that with Mick Jagger's in Australia. That movie, I forget the name of it, but that's what he was. A bushwhacker. So there you are. That's the name of that. So he kept bringing us up, and at the time, which was exploding on television, was Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
And so all the vignettes were written around like that, driving on the wrong side of the road and talking and that, and we did a lot of vignettes and that crazy ones. Going to a drink machine and putting, and shaking the machine, saying, how do we get these drinks out? And people on the street say, oh, you put quarters in, then the can will come out. And how do you open them? And I took out my teeth and popped them with my teeth.
You guys are just kind of like cavemen.
Yeah, cavemen and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doing all sorts of stuff. And then we asked the guy for directions, and we turn around and Butch says, oh, these Americans are great. They even tell you where to go, but we'll put it the way they tell you to fuck off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way, and we did a lot of vignettes, Went into restaurants and that, and they served us stuff. We ordered the whole menu, and we threw away the knives, and we ate from down under, with our hands and that, and all that sort of stuff. We did a lot of vignettes. So by the time we got a month was over, they'd seen we'd done, every time we flew up, we did 2 or 3 different vignettes.
Wow.
So for a month, we did 12 vignettes.
And then when did you guys get into
matches? Then they called us up, and we started on the road. And at the start, we didn't. He never gave us the arm swinging or the head licking. We came up with all that because the Moondogs. Butch said to me, he says the Moondogs been on USA Network for the last 5 years, and we've been on Turner Network on and off from '79 to '88. So let's create something different. And when we're working in Turner's studios, every time we went outside the ring, we'd swing up our arms and go, whoa, you know what I mean? To scare the people, you know what I mean? We'd go out there and go, whoa, and that, and so he said, let's start swinging our arms going to the ring. So that's how we got the march, and then we added the lick, which I grabbed their head, but I always licked the back of my hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to lick their head.
Head licking. Butch got staffed later on. That's why he got real sick.
You got staff?
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. He nearly died twice.
He died twice
Nearly died twice, yeah.
from licking heads.
Well, he got staph infection, and that it could have been from licking, but it could have been from a liniment called DMSO, which they use for horses. It heals torn ligaments and muscles overnight. You know, you rub it on, and it goes with DMSO, and it's very strong. You know, you can put it in your hand and use the thing, ultrasound under here, and it'll bubble in your hand. Wow. It goes right through. And that a lot of people have used it. If you've got bacteria on your hair and you rub it and you've got a scratch, that'll take it right to the bone.
What?
So we don't know that he got the staph from that, or it was licking, sweaty heads. And that, and all different people, because he used to grab them and give them a lick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck that shit.
Fuck
that shit.
That's dirty ass shit, man.
Yeah, anyhow, that's how we went through that. After about a month, we got our gimmick down pat, our marching and that.
Yeah.
And now in arenas, as soon as we start our music come on, everyone will be standing and doing this, you know what I mean? And even on NFL, guys would go behind the line for a touchdown, and then, they spike
do
the
the
ball.
march.
Yeah, they'd be marching. That's how hard it got over.
Yeah.
The march. In the late 80s, that got over heavy. And it's
Wow.
still, when I was working on Sunday, I come out and march, all the people are swinging their arms up, standing, because as soon as they hear the music, the wrestling fans,
Right.
they know it. Thanks to WWE Network, they play all our old stuff.
Yeah.
They've even got our sheep herders where we were bad guys.
Yeah.
They've got all that stuff. The network's got all the stuff on.
That's the
That keeps us alive.
right. Yeah.
And every time they do the Royal Rumble, which is the pay-per-view in January, they always show the one that I was throwing as I got up on the apron. Earthquake grabbed me and it took me over the ring and went out, and as soon as I landed,
Yeah.
You
I
just started
marched back.
marching. Yeah, I saw that video.
That's been played since 1992 every year.
What's the most amount of money you ever made wrestling? Is there like one match that made you the most money ever?
Well,
What was like your peak?
Week.
What was the best week you ever had?
Shit, I don't know, mate. I can't.
Just like
Week.
estimate, just rough. It doesn't have to be exact.
Biggest week, 10 or 12 grand.
10 or 12 grand.
Yeah,
Wow. How many matches did you have to do that week?
a full week.
Full week every day.
No, I've made more than that, but that's the biggest one on a pay-per-view. That's the biggest payoff I got on a pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn. And then what was like your biggest match? What was like the peak match that you ever
Okay,
had?
there's two different ones that I'll remember for a lifetime, and that is the first one is the Wembley Stadium in London, the old Wembley Stadium, the last show before they pulled it down to build the new one. Butcher, me, and Hacksaw Duggan were against the Nasty Boys and the Mountie. There was 94,600 people there, and we were the first match to get the people up. The crowd had been sitting there, and that first match is a big thing.
Yeah.
Because if the first match sucks, the crowd's down and it's hard to get them back. You know what I mean? We walked out there, and that was, the people were fucking on fire. Because watching a football match, there's how many's living on the side, isn't there? How many's in a football team? Your football teams. 11
How many people on a football team? No, there's like 20 or 30, I thought.
Yeah.
on the field at once.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue.
But when you're in the ring, there's only 6 of us in that ring,
Right.
and you've got all those people looking at you. You know what I mean? And if you're a single match, a lot of them have been in tags.
Yeah.
Me and Butch, and it's been 76,000. But that was the biggest. The biggest for me was 94.6. Walking out there, the aura, the tension.
Yeah, it's got to feel
everything.
crazy.
It's just fucking mind-blowing, you know what I mean? And you don't have to do nothing. You just have to go, whoa, and the whole people will go, whoa. You go, yay. So there was me and Butch going, whoa, and yay, and Hex would dig and go, ho! So that it was fucking wild. And that, you know, we could have done that all night and not have to do any action.
Yeah.
But we did some wild stuff. You know, we didn't have to do much because the people were there. They were just
loving it.
Yeah,
It's
and
insane
being the
now.
first match. Being the first match, and that, you know, since then there's been, you know, they did 104,000 in Texas Stadium three WrestleManias ago. That was
How many?
104.
104,000.
Yeah, in the Texas Stadium.
I went to my first WrestleMania last year. I think it was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. It was in New Orleans.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, that was the first WrestleMania I ever went to, and it was. I did not expect it to be that insane because I'd only watched wrestling matches on TV before that.
Yeah,
and when I got there, I got like floor seats. I was maybe like 8 rows back on the floor, and Dana White was actually like a few rows in front of me.
Yeah.
And just the show, the fire and the lights and everything was just so over the top. The thing that stood out to me the most was the Undertaker's intro.
Yeah.
When everything like out of nowhere, the whole stadium just goes black, and then it's
Yeah.
just like that gong sound, that bell goes off, and then the light shines down on him. It fucking made my hair. It made my hair stand up.
You don't have to be a wrestler, like the Ultimate Warrior. You know, he was a bodybuilder. Stop eating. He was a bodybuilder, and he didn't care about the wrestling and that. But the smoke and mirrors and him running to the ropes and shaking the ropes. That's all he had to do because he couldn't do. God bless him up there, but he didn't have to do much more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, they do a great fucking job at the smoke and mirrors, though.
Yeah, hey, the pyro and the lighting and it's insane.
It's ridiculous how much money they have to be able to. They have to spend
how many
millions
18
and
wheels,
millions and millions of
You
dollars.
know how many 18-wheelers he's got?
Oh,
Those shows he's got about 15 18-wheelers to 20 18-wheelers outside with all the props and all the stuff. 2 of them are the broadcasting units where they're editing and sending it to the
live
satellite.
editing.
You know, the live. There's two trucks doing that shit. But the rest is.
I wonder if there's a documentary on like what it takes to run
Like
behind
the
the
back
scenes
end
of
of it.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, the back end.
All the
it's
trucks,
insane.
the crew, the equipment.
Outside, and the riggers to rigging beforehand. It's, you know, to rig everything up.
It's literally
You know,
it's literally like a major motion picture budget for a one-time live show.
Yeah, so you know, and that's what he's doing. What he does too, you know, like he did the Bradley Center in this in Brooklyn. What's it called? The Barclays Center. Barclays Center. Friday night was NXT. You know, now that's on Wednesday night right now on USA Network.
Okay.
NXT. That's the guys coming up, right? Mm-hmm. NXT he did on Friday night in the Barclay. He did Saturday night. He did the Hall of Fame in the Barclays Center. Sunday they did the outdoor in Meadowlands, the WrestleMania. I'm talking about in the New York. Not last year, the year before. Then he come back on Monday night, the Barclays Center. Tuesday night, the Barclays Center. Monday night was Raw. Tuesday night was SmackDown. So he used the Barclays Center. So he just one setup.
Oh
And
yeah,
used it
that
for
makes
5
so
different shows.
that makes
you
so-
know,
That's what they
one
did. That's
night-
what they did in New Orleans as well.
Yes, yeah, that's what they did. Yes. See,
Yeah,
one
get their
setup.
money's worth out
And
of
it's
it.
coming to Tampa this year.
Yeah, but it's going to be there.
That's going to be insane.
But Amelia Arena for the
Emily Arena
Emily Arena.
for WrestleMania.
No, Emily Arena. No, it's the Buck Stadium. WrestleMania.
Oh, they use Raymond
Raymond
James.
James.
Okay.
Yeah, Radio Stadium.
Okay.
And that
My
Emily
bad.
is for the NXT, the Hall of Fame, and then Monday and Tuesday, Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah, unreal, huh?
That'll be a long week.
Yeah.
God, that's going to be wild.
Yeah. And then
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, and then I know, not for them.
No.
And then there's, you know, when there's WrestleMania, there's usually about 8 wrestling shows around it. All the big independent companies in the States go to, New Orleans. There was stuff going from Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they had WWE had their stuff.
WrestleCon and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that. There's WrestleCon. There's the ROH. There's all these different other companies running.
Mm-hmm.
This year ROH will be running, and they run Lakeland. That's the closest they can get their building, and that all the other places have been bought by different companies. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's going to be insane. That's what the mayor in Orlando. That's why he gives them everything for nothing. The WWE, because it brings so much tourists from overseas to his place. Because when they come to the rest, WrestleMania draws from Japan, from all Europe, and that from New Zealand, Australia, draws from all over the world, right? And that so Orlando, they've got SeaWorld, they've got everything there. So that's why he gives it, because the tourists not only come for WrestleMania, they catch everything. Now Tampa too, they'll get them because people will come here to go to Orlando to catch everything else too.
Okay. Yeah,
Boost the whole city during that.
That rail, they should. I don't know when they're going to get that rail going, but they're going to have that rail running from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale and to Tampa.
Yeah.
That one.
The speed train or whatever it is or something.
Yeah, like the bullet. And that's in the makings. I don't know when that's going to happen.
That'll be fucking nice.
Hell
yeah. By the time you drive to the place and then sit around, get on the plane, and then get off, and that is, if they get the plane like the bullet, 120, 130 mile an hour, 150 mile an hour train,
cruising.
It's easier to do,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you.
Anyhow, where were we?
What kind of fucking injuries have you had? Have you had some pretty terrible injuries? Have you had to have surgeries and back? Because I know Hulk's pretty messed up from all his back surgeries.
I've held all from back surgery, but I've had 2 right knee replacements.
Okay.
The first replacement I wore out wrestling, and I did 14 years, lasted 14 years in the ring.
Oh,
not bad.
And the new one has got spike. Where it goes into the bone and goes up in the other one.
Yeah.
It was round before, so it's like that. Where it goes up, and it was smooth. Now there's little spikes on it. So when they cement it in with the spikes, it can't get loose.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one I had a tour in England, and it was loose, and it was like electric shocks in my leg.
Oh.
I was loaded on
Painkillers.
Yeah. And I had to do a tour.
Some Xanax or something.
Huh?
Were you taking Xanax or
No,
No, that's not a painkiller. That's
antidepressant. I was
antidepressant.
taking stronger ones. Stronger
shit. Valium.
Valium, no.
That's like
Xanax is selling the same, mate. They're
the
mind
good
drugs.
stuff.
That's what the Valium. I'm sorry. The Xanax is what you feed the sheep first.
Yeah, the Valium and Xanax and that. Anyhow, So my career, that's where I came. Then I came to the States. I lived in Hawaii. I worked across Canada. Right across Canada in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And a wee bit in the States, but I was living in Canada. And then in 79 I came. 78, 79 I came, and I was living in Hawaii. And we were working 4 islands a week and that, and I used to fly over Diamond Head every night and see Jack Lord and the crew doing Hawaii 5-0.
Oh, yeah.
The plane would come right low in that, and I could look right down and see him doing Hawaii 5-0.
That's cool.
That
That's
was
awesome.
That was great. But in Hawaii, I just kept my head above water.
Yeah.
I didn't make any money, you know what I mean?
Right,
I made money to survive. I lived right across I lived on Waikiki Beach, and that got up every morning, went to the gym. By 10 o'clock, I was on the beach every day. At 5:30, I would fly out to one of the islands. We had the promoter had his own planes. We'd fly to the islands and do an island. I'd be back in Waikiki around 10 o'clock every night.
That's where The Rock's from, right? He's from Hawaii, isn't he?
The Rock?
Yeah, he used to live in Hawaii when he was a young kid.
Because his grandma and grandfather, Peter Marvia, they owned the promotion.
Okay.
Down the road, they owned the promotion. And he was born in the States. He lived in New Zealand too for 2 years.
Did he really?
Yeah. I wrestled the Rock's grandfather. Me and Butch
Really?
wrestled him.
Are you
Peter
serious?
Maivia. You know, in Hall of Fame, we told the story about that. We wrestled Peter Maivia, the Rock's grandfather, and then the Rock's dad. I wrestled him. I still see him a lot, and that I wrestled him in Australia, New Zealand, and the States.
No way.
The Rock's dad everywhere, but the Rock's grandfather, I wrestled just in Australia and New Zealand.
Were they anything like The Rock? What were those guys like?
Yeah, it's what, the Rock's third generation.
Right.
Where do you think he got it from?
Exactly. Yeah. I say
His-
it's before my time, so that's why I got to ask.
No, the Rock's grandfather, Peter Maivia, was a high chief,
Right.
Samoan chief and that, and he was in the first James Bond movies. He was in a lot of movies, bit parts.
Oh shit! No
Yeah,
way.
he's the one that had to fight and went through the screen in the movie with kendo sticks at the start of that first. Was it Doctor No? What was the first James? I can't remember. That's going way back.
Yeah.
But he was in those movies and that, and then Rocky Johnson. He was a big name. He was the first. Him and Tony Atlas were the first black people ever to have the WWF world belts. You know, they were the first black people to have the world straps in wrestling.
Damn.
Yeah, Rocky Johnson. I worked with him all over the States,
Yeah.
and in Australia and in New Zealand.
That's wild. Yeah, I actually met his mom at Ric Flair's wedding.
Yeah,
I went there and I made a little video. I made like a little documentary about his wedding, and his mom was there. And I got to talk to her. I did a little interview
Rock's
with her.
Rock's mom and dad.
They're like
used to come-
super involved in wrestling.
Yeah,
They're super close to so many different people, like Ric Flair. And
Well, they're broken up now, but they still live in the same street. And that
who's
the Rock,
broken up?
The Rock's mom and dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they live in the same street as the Rock down in Davie, but because Rock bought all the homes for the family there
Where's that at?
down in Davie,
Where's Davey?
South Florida, Lake Lauderdale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyhow, Mum and Dad used to come to our restaurant when they had the Bushwhackers down at a steakhouse on Dale Mabry, and that they used to come there all the time
Yeah.
and eat.
Why are there? It seems like there's everybody lives in Tampa. Every wrestler.
Why? Because of the weather, mate.
The
You
weather
work
sucks here. It's so hot.
Fuck, it's
They
good.
like it.
Mate, you don't know what it's like to live up north. There.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You have to put clothes on to go outside. You come inside, you have to strip off. When you go outside, you have to double up clothes. You have to double up everything.
So is it because all these WWE wrestlers, they've been exposed to every country, every city on earth, and they've found that Tampa is by far the best.
and Florida too.
Just
The tax
Florida in
laws-
general.
The tax laws and everything too.
The tax
It's
laws are
cheap.
way better here for sure.
Yeah, they're cheap too. And if you go into bankruptcy, you still keep your home in your car. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Do a lot of wrestlers go bankrupt?
No, I've been down there in the restaurant that one on Dale Mabry. I come back and it was $750,000 in debt. I went overseas and stayed up in the Middle East. This is after WWF, and I came back and it was $780,000 in debt.
What
I had
the
to go
fuck?
bankrupt there.
Who the hell did you have running that operation?
No, there's only two people who had the to the back door, and by the time I got back, and then they said to me everybody was coming in. We're open from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. midnight, and they were going out and after midnight and partying on the strip. And that, all the restaurants, the city bars down around there. Then coming back, we sold lobster,
Mons Venus.
street, filet mignon and all that shit. And they were taking out cube rolls, lobster tails, and drinking the alcohol.
That's fucked up.
Just
Till
partying
5
there.
o'clock.
They just
They
fucking
were going out at 5 because I went to the company who was doing the service for us, and they gave me the sheets, and they said, "This is what's been happening." Everyone had the key code. Anyhow, getting back to wrestling. So anyhow, that was that.
That's
I,
crazy, man.
Yeah, anyhow, after when you come into the States, that's when I got into the booking side of it. You know, my first territory as a booker, if you know what a booker is, the booker is the guy that runs the back of the house for the promoter. And that. The wrestling promoter does a promotion, books the arenas, has the television, and does all that sort of stuff. You know, he doesn't write, but the booker writes the television and brings and books the talent and lays out the matches and writes the television show. And I started doing that in '83.
Oh, okay.
And I did that right up till I went into WWE. And when I got out of WWE, in 2001, I went down to Puerto Rico and ran a company with IWA there to 2008. And I had all Latins there. Here I am, an English-speaking person, and I had 30 Latins working for me.
Oh my gosh!
In
Puerto Rico,
and it was Telemundo first. We could use other music, you know, any music and that, and we could use, you know, the rock songs and all that sort of stuff. And then Telemundo was bought out by NBC, and then we had to tighten the whole show up. You know, it had to be right on the second for commercial breaks. No, we had to buy generic music, and they had to change the whole front of the thing.
who is the guy that got murdered in Puerto Rico?
Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody.
And his wife is a Kiwi. I still talk to Barbara on the internet.
You do really? His wife?
His wife is from New Zealand, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Barbara.
Lanny was talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, he was a good friend of mine. He drew a lot of money with me with Abdullah the Butcher.
Did he really?
Yeah, Abdullah and him drew, they were the biggest stars in Japan ever.
From what they say is that he was like a big-time bully. Like, he bullied people a lot. Or he was like a big
That's, yeah.
Not like in the ring, but like behind the scenes, he was like kind of a dick and kind of a bully to people. That's what I've heard from like documentaries about him, and that's
I know him from a different point of view. He was when he went in when he got booked to go work in a territory, he went there to get over as the bad guy.
Yeah,
and he got over straight away because if you don't get over, you don't draw any money. Yeah. He was always main event. And that he was got to get over because the good guy's got to have someone to beat. You know, there's always a good guy in a territory, the local good guy. You know what I mean? And you feed the bad guys to him all the time. Once a bad guy gets over, he has a good strong run, and then he goes, and you have to get another bad guy over, and the good guy stays there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Jerry Lawler stayed in Memphis all those years.
Yep.
It made it. You know, I remember when the guy from Taxi, he's dead. The guy from Taxi came in and he was on the David Letterman show.
I don't know.
Remember the show Taxi?
Yeah, I remember the show. I don't remember who you're talking about though.
Who was the mainstay? Andy Kaufman.
Okay.
Andy Kaufman. He's the guy who came in and wrestled woman and that from New York and that and got over and that and he wasn't big and that, but he did a big program. I was there when they did the Bird. Jimmy Hart was the main part of this too. Did he tell you about the Andy Kaufman thing?
No.
Oh, that was the big thing. David Letterman came down. They did the whole the Letterman show there.
No way.
Yeah, that's when they did the burning and that and it was Kaufman. It was a hell of an angle. An angle is a thing that you do to draw the houses down the line and that.
Okay.
Jerry Lawler did a big thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? So what's next? So what's your future?
The next thing?
What's the future for the Bushwhacker?
Well,
for the Luke.
To put my marching boots on and march for a while.
Just gonna march into the sunset?
No, I'm not marching into the sunset yet. No, I'm going back. Looks like I'm going to go back into the restaurant bar business.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's a tough business.
Yeah,
from what
I know.
I've heard. Tough business.
Tough business. I know. I've been there.
The gym business also. I mean, you just got out of the gym business.
Yeah, but I got out of that because of the rent. You know, the plaza was sold, and then my contract
they raised the
lease
rent on
come
you.
up, and the rent was 1.5 times what I grossed.
Wow.
God damn.
That doesn't work.
The Brown Boxer's taken over that, and the Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
The Brown Boxer's going to put a stairway up into there from.
Are you kidding me?
So they're going to be
I'm not
two
kidding
levels.
you,
Man, that's gonna be insane.
Damn.
Yeah, they're putting a bowling alley and games room and all
Up top?
No.
Oh.
Down below.
Down below.
Yeah, they're going to dig a hole and go underneath. Of course, they're putting a stairway up top and going straight up.
You're not going to put a bowling alley on the second floor, are you?
Mini bowling. I think they're going to put a games room. You know, like the Tap and Token that did shit on the South Beach. But they've always had the idea Dave and Buster. If they do it right. If they
that's
do
a good
right.
spot for that. Yeah,
that would be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
taking
that
over,
place is fucking jam packed every weekend. I haven't been down there in years.
Now you know the hallway there between the Japanese place and the gym.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be closed off.
Okay.
And that elevator there, and they're putting a stairway. They're putting a stairway there down into the
Brown Boxer.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
So that's going to be. That's going to be a big job there.
Big spot, yeah.
It's going to be at least, I'd say, $500,000 it's going to be $1 million job.
Oh yeah.
So where are you working out now that you don't have the gym? Where are you?
I went there today to the to Clearwater Beach Fitness. I sold the name and all the equipment. I sold to the media and all that stuff, everything.
Okay.
Sold him everything there.
Are you still working out there though?
Yeah, I worked out there today, but I've been going to Hulk to the goals on East Bay.
With Hulk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still hanging out with Hulk a lot?
No, I haven't been hanging out with him. Haven't seen him. You know, I've been on the road before at the gym and that, but now I've got more time, and I'm looking to do something on the beach. I'm waiting for him to open up there too. See, but that's a long job.
Open up what?
Hogan's Hangout. It's been sitting there ready to open up for 6 months.
I don't even know what Hogan's Hangout is.
Where?
On the corner, next to the Brown Boxer.
In the same plaza?
Well, they have the beach shop.
You know the surf shop was
the
next
surf
to the
shop
Brown
used to
Boxer.
be, yeah.
Oh, yeah, where Mandalay used to be.
They've had that for 3 years. They've done it all up. It's
Really?
been ready to open.
And what's it going to be?
It's Hogan's Hangout.
Is that going to be a bar?
Hogan's Hangout.
What do you walk in and you hang out? What do you do?
Yeah,
you
bar
eat, drink?
restaurant.
Okay, bar restaurant.
Yes.
Wow. That's going to be crazy.
Upstairs is open. It's got inside out, outside upstairs.
What? It's already open?
No.
Oh.
It's been
ready to open.
I'm chomping at the bit. I want to go hang out with Hogan.
It's been ready to open for the last 3 months. I don't know what the city's doing. You know,
the city's
people
holding
who
it up.
hired
Yeah.
the Clearwater. You know what Clearwater Beach is?
Yeah, they're paying
That was
the
3
ass.
years in the makings. They started doing this 3 years ago.
Damn.
You're behind time. What's going?
So is he doing it by himself? I mean, who's he got working with him on? Is that all confidential, or do you know? Is he like working with somebody who's
no, someone else is. He's just given his name. Like
exactly right, like with what's his
Hogan's
name?
Like Hogan's Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So that's it.
That'll be cool. I can't wait to check that shit out.
It's already built, and it's got the big signs up.
Yeah.
Hogan's Hangout and all that.
That would have been
for the
perfect right
last
next
2
to your
months.
gym, man. That would have been so great right next to the
Yeah,
gym.
right at the gym, because it would have been good for traffic. But
That would have been great.
yeah, but they would. This guy, as soon as he came in and bought the plaza, the word was he wanted to make it all games, all food restaurants, and games and that. And he's got all those. He's got the plane and all that stuff.
The simulation, the
Yeah,
simulator.
There's about 3 or 4 of those places in that plaza now. There's 3 or 4 rooms there now.
Yeah, the scare
And
rooms.
there's
We went to the
there's
escape room.
Yeah,
there.
the escape room. They have the escape
and
room.
there's what's the name now? The Poke Bowl place, and there's another bar there where they make all the slushy drinks.
Okay.
You know what are they called?
Yeah, it's a
Frozen
Clearwater.
drinks.
It's a tourist. Yeah,
Yeah,
plaza.
he's wanting to do that. So I got the message. Even though I told him when he first came there, I said a gym is always good to have there because it brings people to the plaza, and then they can eat and get their hair, all the bullshit. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
he wanted to get rid of me.
I used to drive across town. I used to make a fucking 20-minute drive almost every day to go to that gym. I loved going to that gym.
Yeah, that was the last of it. And everyone around the country that came there, they come in there and they always gave me good write-ups.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a 4.9 and 5-star on Google, TripAdvisor,
Yeah,
and
you
Yelp.
did. Yeah, you did. You had a
Yeah.
great place. You ran that place right. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it was 24 hours.
Yep, and that's it. But
Well, I'm
they
sure the new
signed-
restaurant bar will be.
Yeah, it was already there. If the guy, I'm trying to get rid of use my name. I'm doing the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's smart.
Where's that going to be at?
Well, I can't say till I'm positive.
Stay out of the fucking bean counting and the liquor sales. Stay out of all that crap. Just rent your name out.
I don't want to be doing the wages.
You don't want to be in the business.
The tax.
Yeah, just
license
the Luke name and that's it.
Yeah, that's
clean.
it. That's it, mate. I want to do that.
Well, cool, Luke. Thanks for coming out and sharing your stories and sharing your.
I haven't told any good stories yet. I've just been telling you about my life.
Let's get a good story. What's the best story from your wrestling
Tell me the
career?
wackiest, craziest fucking story you got. We'll end. We'll end it with like a crazy fucking story that'll blow people's minds.
No, I can't yet because I don't know how far I can go.
You can go. No, this is a YouTube video, so you can go.
Oh, here's one.
You can go so fucking far.
One. You know, in NWA, we did a lot of towns and in the south there, and you know the southern cops in a lot of these little towns and that. There was one town when we used to do TV in. I can't even think of the name of the town now, but we had to go through smaller towns to get to it, you know, do the TV there. And the cops used to wait for the boys to come through it to give them tickets, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's one of those things, you're doing 65, 55, 45, and you come near the town, it's 25, and then it goes down to 15. Anyhow. We go through that town, and then we pick up speed and get out of town. And there's Roddy Piper, me, and Butch. We're drinking, and this is going back in early '80s, having a couple of tokes and that, and
couple of tokes, couple of bumps.
Yeah, and then no bumps.
No bumps. That was like the drug of choice back then. The cocaine.
And that.
I heard some crazy cocaine stories. Wrestling.
I can tell you some too, but I don't want to tell because people are still alive.
Okay.
Anyhow, there's
just use pseudonym names.
We get out. We get on the road there. We just get out about 20 minutes away, and a guy had been following us. We didn't know, and now we've put some speed up and that, and we get pulled over.
Yeah.
And the fucking the cop was a real southern redneck cop and that, blah blah blah. He says he says they're gonna take you in. You're caught at doing, I think it was 70. We're doing 70 and a 55 mile. He says, and he said he took the driver. He said, "Follow me." He says, "One of you's coming." He put one of us in the police car, and one of us it was Roddy Piper driving, and we take us back to the little town, and he took us back to the courthouse. On the way back to the courthouse, he called the judge. The judge gets up, and at the time we get there, we're waiting outside. The judge's home is next door to the little courthouse. And it's one of these little towns, you blink as you go through it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You blink as you go through it. And we wait for him. He comes across from his home to the courtroom in a dressing gown and slippers. Lets us in, and we sit in front of the bench and that, and blah, blah, blah. And he finds Roddy right there and then, so much. And if you don't pay it, then they take your license. So they hold your license there till you pay it, and you get your license back. Anyhow, I don't know what happened, whether he took the license, but we scraped up between the three of us, the fine, I think, or he took his license. Anyhow, the hammer goes down, the fine, pay, we go to leave. We go outside. Now he's sitting at a table like this, right? At a bench like that. And about where those things there's the window, where you've got your other monitors there, maybe closer, half the distance. And he's sitting here, he's sitting at his desk about here, and there's the monitors there. We come around to that window there, and Roddy gets up and pisses all over the window.
In front of the judge?
Around, he could turn just like that, and he could see the piss hitting the window. And I was freaking out. And Roddy, he didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And he was pissing. I can imagine if he just turned around and saw it, he come out, we would have been locked up that night.
Oh my God, that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, dude. Thank you for the stories, Luke. That was awesome.
That's only a mild one, but there's a lot of other.
I want to get some really good ones.
Well, here's one. Then we're up in Bangkok or Singapore.
Yeah.
At Boogie Street. You know, you sit down. Boogie Street's a market street during the day, and at night it's Market Street. People walking up and down, and there's market and restaurants, you know, little restaurants. At night, the street's closed off. It's notorious in the world, this. And all the hookers and everybody else there is on Boogie Street, right? Mm-hmm. There's little tables. Guys don't own restaurants and that, but they put a little table out with 4 chairs. One guy might put 1 table out or 2 tables out, and that's how he makes a living. He brings you menus from about 4 or 5 restaurants around. So you sit at his table and you order booze. He'll go and get it off someplace, and he's got all the menus. You choose off what menu, and you sit at his table.
It's like
he
Uber
runs
Eats.
his restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He runs the restaurant, brings the menus over there. Now he brings the menu with all the girls on it.
Yeah.
And there's all the trinkets too on one, you know what I mean? And the live shows, the dog shows, the donkey shows and all that. And he brings the menu over, and we're looking through the girls and that, and
the
and
menu of girls,
yeah. And Butch points at one here. She says, "Oh, that she don't look too bad." You know, we were living over there for $100 a week. We were living like kings, $100 a week.
Where was it? Singapore?
Singapore, yeah. This was 1969, I think. And that 70, 69, and that was
what kind of girls were on that menu?
Oh, she-males and males and females and everything.
Oh,
and
shit!
We were staying.
Damn.
We were living have an apartment overlooking the harbour, because Singapore is a gateway to the east. All the container ships come in there. Anyhow, we're smoking this weed, and my partner had never smoked Thai stick before, and this was
Thai stick.
Thai stick.
Okay.
Thai stick is you squeeze the buds, the juice drips out of it.
Sounds heavy.
And you hallucinate on it. We're sitting in the apartment, and there's all ranch sliders, and there's a balcony overlooking the harbour, and all the container ships are there, and the lights are flashing on them, and Butch thinks there's a war going on out there with all the lights flashing. We've got the big, like you see in movies, the big wooden fans. The props are about, this wide. The wooden, they're like that. They're that wide, and they go like that, and it's go. He's thinking there's helicopters coming in on us and everything. He's freaking out. I'm just telling you how we were on the first time we smoked Thai stick over there.
That's insane.
We was living on $3 worth of stuff a week. And
that's crazy.
Eating. All our washing and food was cooked for us. Our washing was done every night. The clothes you take off, the housekeeper would come in early. By the time we got up, all our clothes had been washed, what we wore the day before. We were living the life.
Like kings over there.
Getting your hair, going in for a to get your hair shampooed and hair done. You sit in a chair. The woman would massage your feet and clean your feet and massage your feet and trim your nails and all that, and then massage your head and shampoo, massage your head and your hands and trim your nails and that, and you'd be high as a kite. And you know how much I pay for that? $3.
Holy
God
shit.
damn.
Yeah, this was unreal.
And all the she-males you could ask for.
Anyhow, Butch points out this one on this menu in Boogie Street. And he says, that's her over there. And so we have a few drinks to that. We go over there, and we take these 2 girls home, right? Mm-hmm. Back to the apartment.
Yeah.
Butch's wife doesn't hear this. Anyhow, we're up in the apartment. All of a sudden, I hear a scream, and Butch says, "Fuck! I've got a handful of fucking rocks."
Oh no! It was a guy.
Balls. It's got beautiful tits, everything. And I says, "Fuck it, turn her around and fuck her. She's got big tits." Yeah.
What did he do? Did he do it?
I don't know.
Oh my fuck.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable.
That's insane. You've lived one hell of a life.
You know, that was in Singapore. Bangkok was. You've heard about Bangkok, right?
Yeah, that's just like the Hangover
crazy
movie.
over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different live show. I seen donkey shows and all that sort of stuff.
Really?
Where the girl comes out and that with the girl, and she can't get satisfied. Then the guy comes out, and then she can't get satisfied. Then they bring the donkey in the harness.
Oh my God!
And it's got a rubber band and like a little tube around its John Thomas, so it can't go. So
John
it can't go.
Thomas.
So it can't go all the way in you. You know what I mean?
Oh
There's
my
a long
God!
and there's a harness. The donkey's in a harness. You know what I mean? And she's in like this, and they lower the donkey down.
Oh my God!
Holy
Insane
shit!
Because it gets wild in other countries.
Don't forget, I'm talking about in the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. Anything
60s,
probably went back then.
You know, the girls from New Zealand, the drag queens New Zealand used to go over to Singapore or Australia, but Singapore, and they get the cut and tuck done there. You know, cut and tuck. That was done over there years ago. The surgeons and that, and get all the implants and all that sort of stuff. You know, the ones that working in Australia and New Zealand.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but is it true what you used to tell me at the gym about the sheep?
Sheep.
Were you joking with me about the woolly girls?
The woolly girls. That's the woolly girls.
What is that?
If I'm going to say, sheep's pussy is the closest to a woman's.
They call them woolly girls.
Yeah, the woolly girls.
Who the farmers say that?
We were called as the bushwhacker sheep herders. We were called the sheep shaggers.
The sheep shaggers.
So is it true?
I don't know. I haven't shagged one.
Oh, I thought you did. I believed you.
No,
because you used to say like the tongues are green.
I'm sure somebody does it.
Tongues are green. That's it. Yeah, you got to get them in the morning early to kiss them before their tongues get green from grazing. That's what we used to tell all the people. You know, when we come in here, when we come over this side of the world, the people in the front seat will be driving us, and they say, "What language you talk?" They couldn't understand me and Butch because we'd talk so fast in English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, if you go in the Caribbean and you go to Trinidad and Barbados, that's really pidgin English.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really pidgin English.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know, but they talk so fast, and that a friend of mine was down there. We're working, and we're in a bar. He says, "What are they singing? What language are they singing?" And I said, "That's English."
Couldn't understand any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's down in those islands. I worked those islands for years, Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, and that.
Really?
Yeah. Sunfest. I've been one Sunfest. Yeah, and that was Bob Marley's son there then.
Okay.
You know, the dad had died. He's a god, but you know that music, reggae music, is big time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's beach music.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That's where most music came from was reggae music.
And
I mean,
you know that guy too, Tequila. What's his name now? He's still around. He's 70 and he's still singing in bare feet. Tequila.
Oh yeah.
Sunrise.
No, I forget who.
You
that
know,
is.
barefoot on the stage, still selling out arenas.
Not
Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah.
Talking about Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah.
Margaritaville?
Yeah, he's semi-reggae, but that's beach music too.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
he's still doing it.
But he's still selling out arenas
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah, big time.
Summertime, he's big time.
He is big time. He's fucking.
voice is cracked.
That guy's got some money.
Yeah, his voice is cracked, but he has girls surrounding him now, beautiful girls singing harmonies, and he gets on that stage, knee brace and all, and jumps around.
He's the guy who did it right when it comes to licensing your name for restaurants. That's the guy who did it right.
He's got weed named after him at the dispensaries and stuff. Yeah, he's got his own brand of weed.
Margaritaville weed.
That's Jimmy Buffett. I forget the name
Jimmy
of
Buffett
it.
weed.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's wild.
What was it like being around like Andre and Hulk back then in the prime and stuff?
Oh, Andre looked after me and Butch. As I said, we come from New Zealand, and he came to New Zealand well before he came to the States.
Yeah, so you knew him a long time before.
He made sure that we were always taken care of Andre, he was good to us.
Really?
And his last match for WWE, he's in our corner. If you go to
in the
WWE
crutches.
on crutches,
Yeah.
And if you go online, like WWE's last match, he's doing a promo. Andre and the Bushwhackers.
Yes,
that's his
and
last
he's
promo.
behind you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched that
Andre,
earlier.
Yep. Andre was always good to us. Hulk's the one that got me to move here.
Really?
Florida.
Yeah, didn't know. I'd lived in Florida before, over in Hillsborough Avenue on Hillsborough River, on the Hillsborough River, just off the Hillsborough Ave. You know Hillsborough Ave?
Yeah.
Yeah, where the river is. And I lived just in apartments there, 7980. When I come here, he lived on Madeira Beach, and I lived on Indian Shores, because Madeira Beach butts onto Indian Shores, and there was a
Ric Flair lived on Indian Rocks too.
Yeah, karaoke place there. There used to be a karaoke place there, and that just when you come off the bridge, Park Boulevard, and you take a left, and there was a bar on the
Friendly
left.
Tavern.
Friendly Tavern, yeah.
Yeah, well, I lived, as you come over the bridge, I lived right in front of them, the water there. I lived in Shore House.
Okay.
The first one, as you come over to go to Krabby Bulls that way, the first hole in the road, you go straight in and drive under my place.
No way.
I lived there for 15 years.
Damn.
Holy
16
shit.
years. Yeah, I bought the place, and I got offered 800,000, and fuck, I didn't take it, waiting for the million, and then I went down Puerto Rico. I went down there to run a territory for a guy for 8 years, and the fucking thing dropped to 220.
Damn.
You know when
Don't tell me you sold it back when it went down to 220.
No, I had drawn on it as a bad. I don't want to tell the story there. Bad story. I lost everything there.
Oh fuck.
Because I bought other properties, and I wasn't awake to when 208 when that went bang.
Yep. I fucked over a lot of people that.
A lot of
that
people.
Year, yeah.
A lot of
people
people
lost their shirt.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, cool,
Yeah.
Luke. I think it's a good time to wrap it up. It's been about 2 hours.
No, you're joking.
Almost. It's been an hour 45.
You're joking.
No.
We're cruising.
Fuck.
We're cruising through this shit, man. We're telling stories.
Yeah,
It's time to fill the
story.
boiler.
Yeah, it's time to go out and fill the boiler.
I
You're
gotta
right,
fill the boiler.
mate.
I'm fucking starving,
Yeah.
Luke.
Starving.
I gotta go fill my boiler up.
Yeah, with some grub.
With some grub and some grub.
Fill
and
the
some
drum.
Yeah.
Fill the drum.
Yeah.
Cool, Luke. Well, thanks again, man.
Okay, mate, it's good to be here, mate. And
Thanks for coming.
What's the name of the podcast?
Concrete Podcast.
Concrete Podcast. And I've got a daughter who's just opened up Instagram. It's DD Bushwhacker Art. She's 11 years of age, and she's an artist.
She's your daughter?
Yes.
Wow.
So she's a great self-taught artist, and she's been doing it since she's 6 or 7, and had some great art. So
What's the name again? What's the Instagram name?
DD Bushwhacker Art.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we'll put it in
And
the
I will
links.
be too. On Halloween, I've got to check this out here. What the fuck? I'll be at Spooky Empire on the 1st and 2nd of November over in the Convention Center in Tampa.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Spooky Empire.
When is
convention.
November, would you say 2nd?
1st and 2nd.
First and second
It
of November.
starts on the 31st,
Okay.
the same day as
Halloween.
All right.
Spooky Empire. And they usually do it in Orlando. This year they're doing it in Tampa. Usually draws a lot of people.
Hell
We'll
yeah.
have to come check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Luke. Luke the Bushwhacker, baby. Whoa.
I'm just going off to whack some bush, guys. See ya down the road.